welcome to my YouTube channel. And for today, I just wanted to thank people that have watched my videos, and I've got a lot of positive, very positive feedback, especially from my family members, and it's kind of started to open doors to some difficult conversations that we've been leaving in the past not to have. We've tried our best to kind of unpick those situations where we could have been affected by our mental health, or we could have had mental health issues. So we have started to talk about it even more, even amongst my friends. For today, today's a really special day for me. Today's the 28th of February, and my grandma's birthday. She's 82 today, so hoo-hoo, happy birthday, grandma. And for today, today's message is really very simple. And while we are waiting for series 2 of my talk, I am doing something called Stories on Sunday, which I started it last week. It's all about little memories in the form of a story which sends out a message, and it can be anything. It can range from having fun with my brothers, it can range from having fun with my grandma, having fun with my children, the things I've also experienced in the past that have all been connected together and made me this person I am today. That is what Stories on Sunday is about. Now, for today's story, and I'm still going to keep it short and sweet, it's all about saying sorry. It's a very simple word to say, but most people find it very difficult to say, especially adults. Now, the story centers around my grandma. I love my grandma to bits, but in the past we've had some really difficult times where we've spent a lot of times without talking to each other. We've clashed, there was a lot of conflict of interest, and we had to just go our separate ways for a while and deal with what we wanted to deal with, and then came back together. And I'm so happy to say that, and she's like one of the best persons now that I go to in my family. And I love her. I cherish the moments I've had with her. I kind of now see certain things about her in the past that where I neglected or I took for granted, if I can put it that way. She's been there for me from day one. She might have had her views about how my life should have been, but she still respected the fact that I had to find and forge for my own self. Now, my story today goes way back when I was I think I was 9, 10, and it was around the time when I had my first proper big summer holiday in the big compound, as we call it, in Bamenda. And my grandma was always this very lavish cook. She was quite tactile with food, and she will teach us about different kind of recipes, and I was the one that was always in the place where she's cooking, and she discovered that I did have a passion for food. And every time when she's cooking, she will call me and she will tell me different recipes, tell me different ingredients, made me to understand a lot of things about our traditional foods in Cameroon. And I remember one fateful day, and she put me in charge of cooking the meal. I think I was 9, 10, yeah. She put me in charge of cooking the meal, and I was like, okay, what should I do? She'd given me a list, given me the money to go shopping with my cousins, and I went shopping. We bought the necessary things, we came home, and I was very eager to please my grandma. And I made a traditional meal of beans, potatoes, and you pound it. It's called pompile, yes. You pound it with palm oil, and it was really nice. And I put all these ingredients that she had taught me about. I'd done the beans in the way that she liked. I was eager to please her. That is what was in my mind. So my grandma now came back from, she'd gone to church, and in those days in Africa, you go to church, know that church is about 2-3 hours. So this is me getting ready all the nice ingredients and getting the meal prepared. My brothers were there shouting that I should share the meal. I was like, no, grandma is coming, and when grandma comes, she'll be the first to taste the meal, so no one is touching. I was kind of very authoritative. I still am, but I've deemed it down a bit. Now my grandma steps out of her car and not her car. She used to drive this motor. I think it's a motorcycle. She was one of those really well-known ladies in the area, and she was driving her motorcycle. She went into the backyard, came down from her motorcycle, and was like, okay, I really need to see what Akwi has done. So they used to call me by my middle name. And she went into the kitchen and she saw the food. Then she took the spoon and she turned around the food. She was like, I could see from her face she wasn't happy. And I was like, uh-oh. And my cousins were like, my brothers were like, oh gosh, Clarie, Akwi, you're dead. She turned the spoon again, and she turned it the third time. Now, our grandma used to cook for ministers, governors, and if she has not tasted your food by the third time, you should know that there's something wrong with your food. So bear in mind, I was 9, 10, and I was really hard on myself. I was standing by the kitchen door, and all of a sudden my grandma pulled the pot down to the kitchen floor and was just like, what is this? What is this? She turned around and you could see she was shouting and she was glaring, you have wasted the food. This isn't how I told you to cook it. And she was going in. She gave me all the talk that day. And I was there crying, I was bawling, and I was just like, oh, what is happening? What is happening? Then she was like, oh, no one's gonna eat that. It's too watery, it's too soft. Yes, you've got the taste right, but it's too soft. Why? You've spent all the money on that. I tried to explain to Grandma Rose that, look, it's because I did this. She's like, no. I'll have to start from scratch again to cook everything. And people are very hungry. You told me you were going to take charge. You told me you wanted to learn. I was just like, yeah, I did, but. All of a sudden, like, I was just like, oh, no. I was just like, then my brothers were laughing. My brothers like had a field day with me that day. They were laughing. They were like, so because my grandma had put the pot down, everyone was like, they'd written my food off. They'd written the food off. They were like, Akwi has just spoiled everything. Akwi is just a mess. She said she wanted to be this big cook. She can be this big cook. She's just a mess. And I was like, okay, it's done. Like she was like, okay, what are you going to do now? I'm like, I don't know. She's like, okay, you need to go get this, get that, and we need to cook some food because people are hungry. Then I think I went to the market and I got certain things, and I came back for her to start doing another meal. Now, all of a sudden, as I'm washing the ingredients outside and I'm trying to prepare them for my grandma to do the food for us to eat, all of a sudden I was like, she was in the kitchen. She was like, I heard this little sound in the kitchen. She was like, it tastes nice actually. And I was just like, okay, what is happening there? And I popped my head into the kitchen and she was like, oh, I see the problem now. It's because you put too much oil, and then because it was still on the fire and it was a bit hot, it not cooled down. And because it's cooled down now, I can see that it's really the texture that I wanted. It's really nice. So my grandma just giving me all these praises. And you know that when you have proven yourself and you know you've done something right and you get the acknowledgement after you've been battered for so long with words and very like your cousins have just been laughing, my brothers have just been laughing, you think to yourself, what is happening? And I just started crying. And she helped me. She told me to come in the kitchen. I came in the kitchen. She was like, I'm really sorry. I should have waited. I should have given you time to explain. This is your first proper meal. I should have not been too hard on you. And I looked at my grandma, I was like, no worries. And it ended up being one of the best meal for that dish. So that dish ended up being one of the best textures, or the meal she'd ever eaten, apart from the one she cooked though. So hey, and the moral of the story is like, at the end of the day, if you know that you've done something wrong, it's kind of very simple to just apologize, say you're sorry. The reason why my grandma apologized because she knows I'm someone that keeps grudges a lot. I keep grudges for a long time, and I know that I've not done something wrong, or I've followed all the steps that you gave me to do something and it still came out wrong, and then you find out along the line that it was you that was at fault, please do apologize. The same with me. If I find that I've done something wrong to my kids, I'm only human, I have to apologize. So regardless of whether you're older or younger than the person that you have done something against, find a way to apologize, because you never know how that person is feeling. People always say, oh, but she's young, why are you apologizing? Why is your grandma apologizing? Because that was what other people or my brothers were saying, oh, they should leave her. No. At the end of the day, my grandma took steps to find remedies for a situation where she knew that I had wanted to please her, and she felt short in recognizing that I had put in a lot of effort. Now, if you want to bring down somebody, find another way of doing it. And one thing I like my grandma is that even after all these years that we've had our ups and downs, and when we have had clashes and conflicts in the past, she will always come back to apologizing, and I will always also come back to apologize. So she taught me how to be humble, how to humble myself in situations where I may have made a mistake, how to be open about my apologies, how to also let the other person feel the apology, because some people always say sorry in a very unapologetic way. So make your apology or make your sorry be felt here. Don't just say it because you want to say it. Now, it gives me so much joy to do this video because today is her birthday, and irrespective of what we've had in the past, every time I see my grandma, it's a blessing, and I miss her so much, and I just hope and pray she's in good health and she lives to be 100 or even 100 plus. Now, I'm gonna leave this for today, and I will see you next Sunday. Apologize or say sorry when you know you have done something wrong, and make sure you mean it. I'll see you next time. Have a lovely weekend, or have a lovely start of the week. Be kind, especially to yourself. Thank you.